Hi, welcome back to Hope in the Light of Suicide. Um, we took a little time off last week, and I'll get to that, but let's take care of our business stuff. That's important because that's why we're here too. Also, I want to thank John with Area 52 Media Group, our producer, and my tech guy behind the scenes, um, giving us the opportunity to bring all this information to you. If you want to do your own show, please contact them. You any kind of show you want to do. Uh, he's great to work with. Also, Delynn Gaston with the mortgage firm, Anything Mortgages. I tell you, that's if you're looking to buy your first home or refinance or anything, she's your gal because she can help you step by step, make sure that things are done properly. Um, Hopefully, you have no hiccups because buying a home is one of the it's not number one, but it's right up there as one of the biggest stressors that people go through. But it's really important. And also, Tammy White Galleries and Custom Framing. We thank our sponsors and our producers so that we can bring all this information to you. And like I said, we took some time off last week, um, just to. Well, it was marking a milestone. It's been a decade, April 8th, since we lost Bobby to suicide. Um, but it wasn't really we. It wasn't like really per se use it as a sad time. We took time to just kind of look back and um, but taking that time um, allowed me to come back to the show and to be able to share with you with a full heart. Seriously. Um, Last week wasn't really about moving forward. It was more about, you know, looking back and honoring his life. Um, because our loved ones aren't here physically, that doesn't mean we still don't love them. That love never leaves. Bobby's sister, Mary, who was on the show just prior to our little break, um, she came over that day. I usually do something. Um, but last year I got a tattoo. This year I went to our favorite restaurant in on the Gulf and had fish and chips. It's like my favorite dinner there or lunch. When I go, it's one restaurant that I can go to that I don't have anxiety or I can go there and it's a good place for me to be. It's like the only restaurant that we went to per se on a regular basis that I can go to. And when I do, I always order. I know it might sound weird, but if you knew him, it doesn't sound weird. I always order a bottle of Budweiser for him. I take one sip out of it and it just sits there. But I order that for him. So I went to In on the Golf and had lunch, and then later in the afternoon, Bobby's sister Mary came over, and something that we have been doing for many years is I have a memorial garden for Bobby, and so Mary and I have been every year cleaning it out and refurbishing it, planting new flowers. It's spring. It's like a fresh start, and that is such a goofy picture of the two of us. I finally broke down and got one of those stick things that you put your phone on. I've never had one, and I have short arms, so doing selfies is like really hard. So that was the first time of me using that stick thingy. But that's the two of us. After we got most of the garden done. I had to add a few more flowers, but it's it's something that we do. It's a ritual, um, for us every year, and it's just her and I. Nobody else in the family comes over, but that's okay. That's our thing, and she says we're gonna continue to do it every year. She said that even if she has to be in a wheelchair and supervise at some point, she'll be here. So, and I really appreciate it. Um, it's something everybody sees when you can see the driveways there. So when you pull in, whether you're coming, here or to the gallery, the garden is right there. So it's really nice to refresh it um, every year. So that's what we did um, to honor his life. Um, you know, for actually, for both of us, 'cause has done memorial gardens for um, her friends that have passed away, and um, she helps with one of her grandsons. They did a garden at the school that she used to teach at, and so it's getting your hands in the dirt and just taking the time to remember and reflect. We have there's a little plaque in the garden with the saying, which it is perfect. And we she asked if I wanted her. I couldn't read it. I read it all the time, but I couldn't say it out loud. um, but it doing something like that, that's our way, kind of to stay connected, with each other and with him. And sometimes it's words aren't needed. She did the talking. But it's all, it was good. But and I shouldn't say but. The thing is, reflecting back on these last 10 years and just can't even just wrap my head around it most of the time. And I was listening to something. Oh, I know what it was. Um, I like to watch Willie Geist on Sunday morning, and I didn't even realize that he had started his Sunday morning show um, like days after Bobby died. Sunday was the 10th anniversary of his show, and I didn't get to see it all, but at the end of it, he made a comment, something like, you know, about the past 10 years, but looking forward to see what is coming ahead for the next 10 years, for the next decade. And it kind of resonated with me a little bit, which is really odd because I really haven't taken any time to like to think that way. Like life going forward, it's just been day after day after day. Life goes forward, and then all of a sudden we're here. Um, but this time and the timing, I think, is what um, allowed this to happen. And so I am really looking forward to this next decade. It it seems weird to me. It really does. Because like I said, it's still hard to wrap my head around the fact that he's been gone for 10 years. But I made I made it. I'm still alive. One of my and I had this discussion with my sister-in-law, and I've talked to my cousin about it a lot too, is, and my neighbor, that, one of the things that scared me the most, I guess, through this process and, as time went on, was I was really, truly afraid that I had a great, great, great possibility of dying from a broken heart. And I didn't want to do that. And it is a real thing. I think I mentioned before, I really believe that that's what one of my uncles, my favorite uncle, happened to him when, after my aunt was killed in a tragic car accident. It wasn't, I think it wasn't directly from that, but it was from that. And I didn't want to do that. I really wanted to be able, I wanted to live life. I didn't know how. Um, his death, and it was the way that it happened. It was the suicide that really stripped myself from myself. And that was really, really hard to come back from. It's I didn't have it when I lost my first husband. I was 26, and yeah, that was hard. I did, at that age, not being able to wrap your head around. I took him to work one day, and then I never saw him again. But this time, I think it was the time, because we were together for so much longer. We were together for almost 30 years. At the time of his death, that was more than half my life I spent with him. And, you build an identity, and all of a sudden, just like that, it's gone. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here, because we're going to go back to prior to my sister-in-law being on 2 shows ago. We started talking about When Your Soulmate Dies, from the book from Alan Wolfelt. And that, and I said it before on the other show, soulmate doesn't have to be your partner. It could have been it could be a friend or a parent. I'm using, partner, husband, because, that's what mine is. But that's not, necessarily the case. Everything that you go through and how you need to heal and mourn, that's the same. That doesn't change. But, it's and sometimes it's not, the time that you spent. For me, it was, it was almost 30 years. We did everything together. And that really, that makes it really hard. You have your routines, your comfort levels. I mean, just so much. And then in the blink of an eye, your life is not the life that you had. And you don't know how you're going to move forward. Well, where we had left off in chapter 5, we're going into chapter 6, and it's remembering your soulmate. Now, in our society, and others, I'm sure, but particularly in ours, there is a rush to get over it or get through it. Not giving people the time to grieve and mourn. And Dr. Wolfelt says this is so, so important. Um, a lot of times we don't have funerals. We didn't have a funeral, but we had a huge. To me, it's just a different word for it, sort of. We had a huge, huge barbecue and bonfire, and something that was more, our kind of lifestyle than having a formal funeral. It was more our lifestyle, more of our friends' lifestyles. Um, but we did have an event for people to be able to express themselves. You know, it was their loss too. Um, that's the thing. I'm not the only one that lost him. A lot of people did. Friends, family, coworkers, and that happened. That's what it is with everybody. And I think like one of the differences is because it was so much of my life. He was part of their lives, but he was my life. And when you lose someone like that, you just don't lose them once. You lose them every single day you get up. But I have said before, and this is why we go through all this stuff, and this is why I share all this stuff with you, because the pain of grief is so hard to carry, and you don't want to have to carry it the rest of your life because it is hard and it is painful, and that's why you have to work through it, because there is life on the other side. And I have gotten glimpses of it throughout the last decade. I think now I'm kind of a little bit more at a turning point where it's like, okay, look, this is what has happened. This is what you've done. This is where you're at. Where can we go now? Forward. I've always said, all I want to do is make Bobby proud. The rest of it really doesn't matter. I just want to make him proud. And I hope that I'm doing that. Mary says I am. But anyways, so you need to take the time to remember the person and share with people. And not everybody's going to want to be a part of that. And so that's what you got to do. You got to find your people. Find your people that want to listen to you, or that want to share also with you, their memories. You have to be able to do that, because it's not just, and I had somebody that I've known for quite a while, and this happened several years ago. I was only 3 years into this. But she had made a comment to one of my family members that, oh, it's been 3 years. She needs to get over it. Really made me mad. And I'm just saying that nicely because I didn't say it that nicely back then. I'm sorry. That's never going to happen. Maybe you can do it, that way. Everybody handles grief differently. That's not my way. So find the people that'll help you with that. And one thing too, not all your memories are going to be happy ones. There's going to be some memories that aren't so good, but you have to remember those too, because life isn't just with a box of chocolates. You know, you have good and bad times. Even the best marriages have good and bad times. I think after a while, for the most part, if it was a decent marriage, and and I'm sure there's the ones out there that weren't so good, and maybe you're not going to have the good memories. You still have to work through it. But I think the ones that do have the good ones, I think the good memories will last a little bit longer than the bad ones. I still remember some things that I wasn't too thrilled about, but the happy memories have more weight, I would say. But you know, your memory and your life with your partner, that's your legacy and your partner's legacy. Sometimes it can be hard to remember. It can be painful. But that's why I said if you're doing it and you can share with somebody and you have support, I'm tremendously lucky that with the support that I have had. And I know that. Um, and I have had from the beginning. And it's not always come from the people that I expected that it should have come from. Sometimes it didn't. But the other people that it did, it made it much more important, more heartfelt, just just better all the way around. In his book, Dr. Wolfelt says, remembering the past makes hoping for the future possible, and actively engaging with and sharing your memories makes healing possible. And, there's a lot of ways that you could do that besides, talking and sharing feelings with others. You can create a memory book or listen to music. I have Bobby's original iPod, and it's the original one. And I have a Bose docking station because it won't hold a battery, but now I can't get it to work. I don't know why. I have to have somebody come and look at it, but it has all the music that he had, and he had taken all his music and all my music and put it on this iPad. I mean, the man spent hours and hours doing this. He learned how to run the laptop and transfer it from CD to the laptop and then onto the iPod. I mean, hours and hours. And when I had it working, I would turn it on around here and have it going. I need to get that, see if we can get it fixed. I hope we can get it either fixed or at least get all the music off of it. I don't know. That's what I thought, John. So, there's other ways that you can remember, the person that you loved. You can start a memory diary or have a blanket made. I was gonna grab that pillow and I forgot. I showed on here. I've made memory pillows. I made one out of Bobby's work shirt for the gallery for me. Actually, two of them, both of his shirts. We did memory pillows for the mother and sisters of a young man who died by suicide. Um, things like that. They have, T-shirts that you can make quilts out of. I have all Bobby's T-shirts in a tub, and there's places that you can send them off to. And I haven't heard anything bad going. Everybody's gotten their stuff back. That scares me, but because I can make mine, and even one of these days I will, if I ever get caught up on my other projects. But things like that. Write and publish a book. I've been supposed to do that for 9 years, and one of these days, here soon, I have the first chapter rough draft out, but it just sits there on the shelf. Get a tattoo. I've done that more than once. So, um, yeah, there's just, write them letters. Talk out loud to the person. I do that all the time, especially when I'm outside doing yard work. As you know, you had shared responsibilities, and now guess what? All those responsibilities are yours. So when I'm outside doing the yard work or up on the roof blowing the leaves off the roof, I every once in a while have a little talk with him because, that was his job. He was supposed to be here doing that. And now I'm doing it. Or and not it's been a while, so I know that probably it's going to happen pretty soon, is finding a stray empty Budweiser can. Yeah. And then the talk really comes. So, we're not going to get to chapter 7, which is a really important one, is developing a new self identity. That is one that is a struggle, but you can do it. And we're going to talk more about that one next week. Because that's really super important. Because we're rebuilding our life. Rebuilding our life. So with that, I have something that I written for a closing. And so as we come to the end of tonight's conversation, I really want to keep coming back, to the garden, that we did. There's something about tending to it each year and pulling what no longer belongs, planting something new, and nurturing what is still has life. It mirrors the journey of grief more than anything else I know. 10 years later, Bobby's still with me. Not the way I wish, but in the way love continues. In the memories and in our rituals, in the quiet moments where I still feel connected to him. The garden isn't just a place, it's a living reflection of remembrance and of becoming. Because remembering, even for you, our soulmates, like we talked about tonight, it isn't about staying in the past. It's about allowing their life and their love to keep shaping who we are and developing a new self identity, which we will talk about next week, doesn't mean leaving them behind. It means carrying them forward in a new way as we continue to grow. Some seasons in the garden are heavy, some are beautiful, most are a little bit of both. And healing works the same way. So, wherever you are tonight, whether you're in the early days of loss or years down the road like I am, I want you to know this. It's okay to keep tending your garden. It's okay to remember. And it's okay to grow. And it's okay for all of that to exist at the same time. So I want to thank you for being here with me, for allowing me to share Bobby's memory, and for continuing this journey together. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself and your own garden. And remember, please put these numbers in your phone, have them memorized. You could be the one to help save someone's life. You could be the one to give them hope. There is always hope. Thank you.